Hello, listeners. My name is Charles Scott. The program in which you're about to listen to is called Can We Talk? And I'm here with my son,
Charles Scott Jr. How you guys doing today? Hope you had a good week. And this episode, like last episode, we're going to give you a lot of information to help the people.
Today, spring is what they say, spring is sprung.
The spring is sprung. No, daylight savings time is pushed us forward. As they say, you spring forward in the spring, you fall back in the fall. So we actually lost an hour, but as real estate agents, we actually gained an hour because we can show you more houses now because the sun stays out longer.
On the way here today at the TV station, we were trying to talk about, figure out what are some of the things that we're going to talk about, and we feel as though that this is a win-win situation for buyers and also for sellers.
Yes.
So today we want to give you some ideas out there as to how to improve the property value. Things that you can do to make your home worth more money.
Yes.
So if you were thinking about selling, that's a good thing. Even if you were just want to put the property value up, remember everything that you do to your own home is like putting money into your pocket.
Yes.
Because that's your equity.
Exactly.
Equity, what's equity? Well, it's how much is it worth versus how much do you owe. And the equity will increase by you making repairs, and it doesn't take a lot of repairs. We're going to give you some simple tips today as to how you can improve the value of your home. And if you're looking to purchase a property, now is a good time to get out there and start looking because, as you just said, they got more daylight. There's also going to be more properties that are going to be available.
Exactly.
The inventory's coming up. And the interest rates are they're talking about lowering the interest rates, and the interest rates coming down a little bit. So there's a lot of things to talk about today, a lot of things that you can benefit from listening to this particular program and any of the programs in the past. As I said, this is a weekly thing.
Yeah, we tell them to subscribe.
We have subscribe.
Plenty of episodes.
Talk about that. You're the IT person.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of episodes you can go back and check out. But with the spring coming up, we're going to have a lot more people coming out, obviously. I'm going to say this spring is going to be a lot better than last spring for the first-time home buyers because I'm going to say with the higher interest rates, although it's higher, it does mean that the investors, the people that have been borrowing this money basically for free, they might sit on the sidelines this summer or this spring also because they realize that 6%, that's more of a rate for someone that's going to live in the house, for 30 years. A lot of investors want to buy the house for a quick flip or for cash flow, I would say.
Exactly. But now's a good time to get out there and start looking around, shopping around,
Yes.
looking at the different banks. So I'll have different programs, and you may want to benefit by seeing what this bank has to offer, what that bank has to offer, and different areas. You
just touched on something. I read an article last week. When it comes to the banks and people looking for mortgages, they said that people spend more time looking for furniture or going on vacation versus shopping for a mortgage. Remember, all these banks they're all selling the same thing. It's the same green money, but they all have different programs. They have different rates. Some may have adjustable rates, some may have fixed. So remember, do your due diligence. Don't just go with the first bank that calls you back. Call multiple banks and have everything ready. Remember, all these banks are going to ask for the same thing. They're going to ask for proof of income, your ID. Make sure you have all this stuff in a packet. So maybe you can drag and drop it to each email. Talk to 10 banks in 1 week. Why not?
Well, you just touched on something that I want to talk about a little bit more. The banks all have different programs.
Yes.
And people might say, well, why is that? Well, some of the banks, they sell the mortgages and they sell them to a third party.
Yes.
If they sell the mortgage to a third party, then they really are not in control of setting the rules.
Nope.
Because the person that's buying the mortgage sets the rules, such as FHA. Mm-hmm. These particular quasi-government agencies set rules that all the banks have to follow. Now, you may get a bank that they actually hold their own mortgages. In
Yes.
other words, they loan you money from their savings depositors or wherever it may come from, so they set their own rules. Mm-hmm. So all the rules are not uniform in some cases, because if a bank is loaning you money, from their own money, then they can say, well, we'll make an exception for this, or we'll make an exception for that.
Yes.
Versus if it's going through FHA or one of the other banks where they have to sell the rules, then they're at the mercy of their investor, the investor being the person who gives them the money to loan out. So you should check around. Now, a lot of times in the past, or people would say, "Oh, I heard if you shop around getting with different banks, it's going to lower my credit score."
Oh yeah, people say that.
But the thing is, you are allowed to, within a certain time frame, I think it's 30 days, to search all of the different lenders, because after all, the government is interested in you getting the best deal.
Yes.
And if they say you can't shop without lowering your credit score, then that's against what they're trying to get you to do in the first place.
You're right.
So you are allowed to search around and check different banks, and so long as it's within a certain time frame without all of that affecting your credit that much. You might maybe 1 or 2 points, but you shouldn't be that narrow to begin with if you're looking to buy a house.
Exactly. And also, just to reiterate that, remember, people look at the banks, they look at the big national banks. I mean, check your local community. There's a lot of local banks that do mortgages. You know, maybe your local credit union, or, you know, we can link with a mortgage broker that can put you in the right direction. Remember, you don't always have to go to the commercial you saw on TV or the app that gives you an instant quote. You might want to go to your local branch and sit down with someone that knows your area. Maybe the mortgages fit that area more so than a national mortgage. So remember, the smaller banks and smaller institutions may have information on the programs for your state specifically, unlike a national bank may not even participate that at all.
Speaking about mortgages, and we'll dwell on that a little bit, because that's going to be the basis of everything that we're talking about, being able to get that mortgage. And when it comes to credit, one of the things that your main thing that you want to do is try to get your credit score as high as you possibly can before you go out there and get in the marketplace. First thing you should do is get a copy of that credit report, review that credit report, get all 3 copies, not just one, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax.
Yes.
And review that credit report, see if there's any errors. Try to get that score up as high as you possibly can. People always say, well, what credit score are they looking for? Well, I'd say starting with, you should have at least 620. 620 for FHA and a lot of the mortgage companies. 640 will get you a little higher priority. And if you can get 640 all the way up to 700, then that's even going to give you a better priority. But if you could get it up to 650, then you're in pretty good standings there. You should be able to go out there and at least not have to worry too much about the credit score. The next thing is that you can have a good credit score, but have a lot of debt.
Correct.
So work on that debt. Try to get, and what's the debt? That's how many bills you have. So you could have a good credit score and be paying off all your bills on time and have 20 credit cards. That's still not going to hit your mortgage.
But also, you must remind people, when you get your credit score up high, you know, maybe in the 700s, even the 800s, remember, you might be tempted to buy some stuff now because you have a high credit score. You might want to buy some furniture, a car, or other things. Remember, when you're going to buy a house, you want to make sure you don't buy any purchases until after you close, because that's going to add more debt to your debt-to-income ratio, and actually your pre-approval will be lower than normal.
Exactly. So, and when you start working on your credit, and you start inquiring about different types of ways to improve your credit, it triggers your name getting put out there, and people start trying to say, oh, well, get my card and you can improve your credit.
Oh, yes.
The car dealers will call you and say,
That's what I mean.
buy a new car, and that way, you know, it always amazes me when people say, well, why'd you buy the new car? Well, someone told me that would help me with my credit. Well, guess what? Maybe if you buy the car and you make your payments on time, it will improve your credit. But now you just have $35,000 of debt that you did not have before. So now you don't qualify because you owe too much money.
And people may not realize, when you see a commercial, whether it be furniture or car, any big purchase, where it says no money down, payments don't start until 18 months later. Remember, it's on your credit report. Some people really think that, hey, 18 months I start paying, so then it appears on my credit. No, it appears on your credit that moment that you sign.
And not only the moment you sign, if you're in the purchase of buying a house and you go out and you're looking at furniture and they take an application from you, even if you change your mind and say, I'm not buying the furniture, it now is recorded on your credit report that you applied for furniture. Now, what it does is it opens up a can of worms, because now you have to explain to the mortgage company what happened to that application where you were buying the furniture? Remember, on the credit report, it doesn't say whether or not you bought the furniture or not. It just says that you applied for the furniture. So now they want you to document all this documentation. Did you actually buy the furniture? Do you plan on buying the furniture? Did you sign an application? So it's just creating a lot of issues that you don't want to happen. You want to avoid all of that paperwork. So we're just giving you an idea to build it up to, like, if you're looking to do something, all of these things have ramifications.
Exactly. Now, we tell you this because people usually do it backwards. They go to the real estate agent first without going to the bank and getting the mortgage or pre-approval. That is the first step. Remember, you want to see what you can afford. Because if you go to the agent, remember, every real estate agent has the same database that we all share. We all can see all the houses. One agent doesn't have more houses than the other. So when you come to the agent, I mean, you can't literally see every house in your county. You have to have a budget to see where you fit in and where you can actually start shopping.
That's right. So now let's get to the meat of it.
Yes.
Everybody's waiting to hear, what do I have to do to improve my house? What do I have to do to make money without spending money that much?
Oh yeah, there's some cost saving.
What are the tips that we're going to be giving you today? Well, just imagine in your mind, close your eyes, you just pulled up to your house and you're looking at your house. What's the first thing you see? The first thing you see is the lawn, okay? So now we are coming into the spring, and you know, like last year with my house, I went to the local hardware store and I asked the gentleman there, I said, you know, what do I have to do to improve my lawn, to give it that curb appeal? And they told me, well, there's a 4-step process.
Yeah,
I'm thinking you just throw the grass seed out there and water it and wait for the grass to grow.
Nope.
He said, no, you got 4 steps. In each one of these bags, they're actually numbered, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I was like, whoa, okay. So next thing I do is I go to college, which is my YouTube commercial, my YouTube university, I call it, and start reading about, you know, things that you have to do. So I found out that, because the reason why I'm saying this is if someone comes up to your home, you want to have a nice green lawn.
Exactly.
And, you know, the winter has beat up the lawn, the minerals have all gone away, it's the frost and the snow has killed all of the weeds and everything under there, so you want to start from fresh.
Exactly.
One of the things it said was to aerate it.
Aerate, so that's when you got the machine that you push across the lawn. It makes little holes for each seed.
Right. The ground is compact, it's hard, so therefore you got to make spaces in the yard. So remember, I bought the machine, you punch down, it takes a lot of, it plugs and takes a lot of holes out of the yard.
Exactly.
You go across there. So now it gives the ground an ability to breathe.
Exactly.
And then there was the other first treatment where you kill off all the weeds. So why have a lot of grass?
Yeah, to kill the weeds off. So it's a 4-step treatment in order to make the grass green and everything like that. But also, remember, after that, you have to water it. Tell them the fact about watering your grass as far as not doing it during the day.
Right. Don't do it all during the day, because what will happen is the water will sit onto the grass and it will sort of like act like a magnifying glass and burn the grass. And remember the time I threw the stuff out there, it was supposed to green the yard, and it killed everything.
Yep, I remember that.
It took about 3 months before we started getting grass again. So one of the things you want to do is you try and do it in the shade, early in the morning or later in the evening.
Exactly.
And also they even sell these little measures, never like an inch and a half of water. You don't want to overwater.
Yeah, you don't want to
drown it either. But the main thing is, it said you get the 4 packages, 1, 2, 3, and 4. The first one you throw out there, and it's the fertilizer, and it kills all of the weeds. And then you have the one that you put out there earlier, about maybe 6 weeks later, and that gives you the grass. And then also, the other thing I found out is that when cutting the grass, don't cut it too low.
Yes.
Cut it so that it's at least 1.5 or 2 inches tall, because the tall grass sucks up all of the nutrients from the ground into the grass.
Exactly.
So it's just a matter of, all of these things sound like, you know, that's kind of crazy, but it's a difference between someone pulling up and seeing a dirty brown lawn, all dusty, and a nice green lawn. And grass seed doesn't cost but about 15 bucks.
It's very affordable.
15
Now,
bucks.
Also, remember, especially in Fairfield County, we have a lot of out-of-state buyers, and what they do is they look online, the pictures, and sometimes they'll see that green grass, and they'll say, okay, let's go see it. They take care of the grass. I'm sure they take care of the inside of the house.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So that's like a curb appeal you have there.
Not only that, when you say people coming from New York, and I used to go to New York and look up, and you see, you always tell where the money was at, because you say, oh, they got a penthouse up there, and you see the trees, and it's like maybe, 150 stories tall,
Yes.
and you say, oh, they got grass up there. That's where they come out, and they got like a little lawn out there. People in New York, they don't know what grass is.
Yeah, exactly.
In other words,
Central Park.
when you see a photo of a house in Connecticut or Greenwich, Fairfield, Easton, Reading in the state of Connecticut, and there's grass out there in front of the house, to them, that's heaven. That's like,
Yeah.
wow, I got a house. They sell the houses. Sometimes they actually take their shoes off and walk across the grass because it's
not used to it from the urban jungle.
They're not used to it. It's all, you go to New York or you go to the bigger cities, everything is sidewalks and asphalt and no grass whatsoever, unless they go to a resort or they go out into a park.
Exactly.
So you want to give what we're trying to do is to give you some tips that's not going to cost you a whole lot of money, real simple, to just make your house look a whole lot better.
Now, if you're outside, you got the grass there, where else would you tell them? I would say most likely the mailbox. I see so many houses, the mailbox has been leaning since they bought the house. Maybe it's a black pole that has like the orange rusted chips on it.
Exactly.
What you can do there, you can spray paint it, or a different color if you want, silver, black. But they sell mailboxes at your local hardware store. Replace the mailbox. Maybe make it something like I've seen custom mailboxes. Some people get a mailbox that's the shape of the house that you're in front of. So make your house look unique and stand out.
Yeah, these are simple items that you can do to add thousands of dollars of value to your house, and it can cost you as little as $50 or $100, and
Yes.
it's money that's going to be in your pocket. So the outside is what's going to give you that curb appeal. People pull up and they want to see your home. So to get the grass, and also remove all the clutter from around the house.
Yes.
In the winter you have the windstorms, you have the snow, so a lot of the branches fall down.
Yep.
And get out there with a nice rake and get rid of all of those branches and get rid of all of the wood and the debris that's been sitting out there. The other thing is, if you're in a city, one thing is that the snow plows and whatnot, and they leave dirt and sand all over it. Get
Yes.
outside with one of those push brooms, make it look really nice and neat.
Yes.
What's happening is you're adding value to the property. On the outside, the first thing the person's going to see is maybe the outside of the property. Maybe touch up the paint.
Yes.
You don't have to paint the whole house.
No. That's what I'm saying. Touch up, paint.
Touch it up.
Remember, if you let's say you were going to sell your house, you may want to have an open house. I see a lot of people drive by. They see the curb appeal. They say, "Oh, I'm going to keep going," and that could be a potential buyer right there.
Right. They assume that if you're not taking care of the outside of your house, the inside must look just as bad.
Exactly.
And it doesn't take that much. Right now, you can take a piece of paint and go to Lowe's, Home Depot. They can match that paint by putting it under an X-ray machine and give you a quart, maybe give you a gallon, and you can touch up the outside of your house and it'll blend right in. You don't even know that, in other words, you touched it up.
Yes.
Especially if you got wood shakes. The wood shakes get dry, the paint peels off them. So touch up the outside, make it look a little bit better. The other thing I like doing is if all of your homes are on a concrete foundation. Now that concrete foundation is usually about 2 feet from the ground up to the frame.
Correct.
Get yourself maybe a light gray paint and paint around the entire foundation.
Yes.
Make it look nice and neat, because that foundation gets crumbly or you get cracks in it. So now here you've got the outside looking nice, you got the foundation looks good, and maybe the windows need a little touch up.
Yes, I would say, squeegee the windows, wash them.
Squeegee, wash them, or even the frames. If the frames have, let's say, a little chip paint around them.
Yes.
If you're going to be selling your home, one of the big things the appraiser will look for is chip paint.
All the time.
All the time. Chip paint.
That's a given.
So these are some of the things that you can do. If you've got a garage, then go look at the garage, touch up the garage. So what you've done, how much money have we really spent so far? Less than $100.
Exactly, just the grass seed and you got some paint.
Less than $100, you could take a house and take a picture before and take a picture afterwards, and it'll look like two different homes with less than $100 being spent. And now, in most cases, a lot of people now, especially the millennials and older people like myself and people, they're all learning to use the cell phones. They buy from photos. They don't. Everybody's time is important, so they don't have time to driving all over the city and try looking at this one. They'll look and they'll do a video tour.
Yep, video tour, virtual tour. People look at the photos, look them on Facebook and Marketplace. Now remember, your house, when you put it out for sale, is going to go on thousands of websites. Your realtor, that's why we tell people to use a realtor, because when you see these houses that do FSBO and everything like that, remember, they're limited to what they can find online and put the house. I have a house for sale. I got a sign in front of my house. When you give your house to a realtor to sell, he has access to what we call the MLS, the multiple listing service. And when we put it on there, it goes to every website. Some websites you may not even know, far and wide, so everybody can see your house. So you want to have that curb appeal there so it attracts the most buyers.
Exactly. And what happens is that even today, a lot of these websites and a lot of these different places, they have what they call Zestimates or valuations.
Oh, yes.
And what they're basing that on, the company that's pricing your home, maybe in California, they're going on a photo. Imagine they look inside, they see all the chip paint, the yards looks like a barn, this, that. That's going to drop. Arrows are going to be going down. That's dropping the value of your property, and they don't even have a clue as to what it looks like inside.
Exactly.
You take and improve that property, you just added value. Now someone's willing to come out and look at your property. So that tip that we've just given you is ways of improving the value of your property without spending a lot of money.
Correct.
And the appraiser, when the appraiser comes out to look at your house, if you're selling it, he's the man that you need, because he's the one that's going to be telling the bank whether or not to give the money on that particular house.
Correct. Exactly.
So you want to add as much value as you possibly can for that property.
Now, another thing you might want to do is drive around your neighborhood. You'll see what other people are doing in their yards. Maybe you can copycat, and they'll say, oh, they got the flowers in their yard, looks nice. My house is the same design. Maybe I'll put some flowers in front of my house. You get flowers at your local florist or at the your local hardware store. You can put those in there. The ones are already in the pot. You just put them right in the dirt. Very easy. Make sure you water them. Just look around the neighborhood. Maybe there's some ideas you can say, oh, that may inspire you to change your house.
Exactly. The other thing is if you don't have a green thumb and everything you plant dies.
Oh, here we go. That's where you're going.
No, you don't know.
Yeah.
Next thing I would do, and some of the things I used to do in the past, I would go to a place like Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that, and I get the white rocks.
Oh, I thought you were going to say fake flowers.
No, not fake flowers.
Oh, those work too.
Well, that works too. But I would get, they have like the 50-pound bags of white rock.
Pebbles, and put them all
pebbles. And what you do is you get the little wire fence. It's like about 6 inches tall, and you stick them into the ground right around the house. Or if you got a tree in the yard, you put it right around the tree, and then you fill it in with the white rock. And so you can imagine in your mind now, you got all that nice white rock coming around the foundation or right around the tree with a nice little metal fence going around there.
Yeah, people like that stuff.
And they like it because, when you look at the photo, it looks really nice with all the white rock around there. Now, maybe the ground is so beat up and no nutrition, you can't grow anything.
Some grass is beyond saving.
It's beyond saving.
It's just yellow. This has been like that for dozens of years. So why not put some rock down and maybe design something around the tree? Around the tree, make it really look nice. Correct.
So these are things that you can do without spending a ton of money.
Yes.
You can do it instantly. You don't have to wait for the grass. You don't have to wait for the grass to come up. You don't have to wait for the flowers to bloom.
Exactly.
You don't have to water the rocks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The rock situation is low maintenance compared to like with the flowers and everything else.
Right. One last step I would do to the outside, and I see this so many times, and we even recommended that a client do it recently. You're walking up the walkway, and it's all cracked and it's crumbling, and the steps have wear and tear of use. You can go and get yourself some plaster, a bag of plaster, and these are do-it-yourself quick fixes. You don't have to hire a construction company.
Nope.
Get yourself a what do you call it, a wheelbarrow. Put the concrete in there, get your water hose, mix it up, and now you put it on your steps and you smooth it out. Put yourself a piece of wood there to keep it from running off. Smooth out those steps and then let it dry. Let it dry overnight.
Yes.
Same thing with your sidewalk. Take your sidewalk and fill in all of the cracks with the concrete, and then get a light gray paint and maybe paint it.
Yeah, the same as the foundation.
Same as the foundation. So now you've taken those steps that are all crumbling and falling apart, and they look really nice and neat and square. You don't replace the steps, just put a nice layer on top of them. So now you pull up to this house, nice grass.
Grass looks good.
Nice rock
Rocks
around
look
the
good.
foundation. The foundation's
Windows
painted.
are all nice and painted.
Windows are nice and painted.
Mailbox looks good.
And what have we done? We've taken this house that's so-so and made it shine.
Exactly. And that's just the outside of the house.
Yeah.
You know, as far as, you know, once you clean the clutter up and everything around, that house will look like a brand new house. You might say, wow, I need to call. This is another thing people don't realize. You can go on Zillow, you can update the pictures. You may go on Zillow and say, oh, that's an old picture when I bought the house. Make an account, upload a new picture.
And you know when you've succeeded? When the friends call you on the phone and say, where do you live? We were trying to find your house. We went by it up and down the neighborhood
They drove
2 or 3
past the
times.
house they've been to a million times.
They say, we can't find it. And you give them, they look and they say, wow,
Right, they're impressed.
What happened to your house? Is that the same house?
Exactly.
So, you know, today we talked all about the ways that you can take a little budget and improve your property and add thousands of dollars of value to that particular property without spending a lot of money.
And perfect time during the spring. And what we're going to do is we're going to continue this series. So we did the outside of the house. Next week we'll do the kitchen.
Walk in.
But actually next week we have a special guest, so you'll see him also.
That's true.
We'll do more on that next week.
So next week, tune in, because we do have a special guest, and tell all your friends and tell all the people that you've been talking to tune in to see, can we talk? And until next week, God bless.
Amen.